the few Asian countries that has shown economic progress year after year. Many analysts attribute it to India's youthful population. By 2020, in fact, India will be the youngest country, with more than half the population below the age of 25. But how are we taking care of this growing young demographic when we're home to the largest number of hungry people in the world? 20% of our children suffer from acute undernutrition. India accounts for 3 out of every 10 stunted children in the world. Malnutrition jeopardizes health and growth, which in turn slows down national progress and development. Hello and welcome. I'm Manvi Dhillon and you're watching DuPont Presents The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero. On today's episode, we're going to introduce you to companies and organizations that are committed to fighting an invisible problem, that of nutrition, to bring malnutrition down to Shunya. He is the father of the Green Revolution that was triggered in response to the Bengal famine of 1943. He understands truly the relationship between agriculture, health and nutrition. Professor M.S. Swaminathan, thank you very much for joining us on The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to take part.
India, today, a population in excess of 1.2 billion people. Yet, hunger persists as an issue. Why?
Wherever there is very high proportion of people depend upon agriculture, then you find the malnutrition, hunger somewhat more ironical, but the fact remains largely because agriculture is one of the riskiest professions in the world. You have rain, you've got happiness, you have drought, you feel sad. So it's a historical tradition which we could have reversed after independence. What we are now trying to do, in fact, the National Food Security Bill of 2013 is an attempt to make food as a right, not as a patronage. So it can be done only if you've got enough backup of food. And fortunately, we have now, thanks to our farmers. So we are in a state of transition from a land of some people call economists, Republic of Hunger, to a republic of fairly well-fed people who have an opportunity for a productive and healthy life.
Today, the World Bank estimates that malnutrition among Indian children is among the highest in the world. Why do we have that problem on such a large scale?
This is because we have never had a holistic attack on hunger. Hunger has 3 dimensions. One is inadequate consumption of food, what we call calorie deprivation, or inadequate calories. Second is protein hunger. Your diet does not have enough protein, particularly for vegetarians, unless there are enough pulses or milk or egg, whatever you want, protein hunger. The third is hidden hunger, micronutrient malnutrition, zinc, iron, iodine, vitamin A, vitamin B12 and so on. And then the other part of nutrition is non-food factors like drinking water, contaminated water, whatever, we say, a young child becomes a leaky pot.
What to your mind then is the path towards real food and nutrition security for our people?
First of all, starting with research, agriculture scientists should become more aware that their work is not just calories alone but nutrition. How do you mainstream nutrition in agriculture research? What we call leveraging agriculture for nutrition. That's one important point which will have to bring about a paradigm shift in all our agriculture universities and so on. Secondly, we should also try to see how far we are able to enrich the common diet with additional, what we call biofortification. And now through breeding, for example, a company in Maharashtra has released a variety of bajra, very rich in iron, very rich, provides you the iron content.
India is home to 40% of the world's undernourished children. Over 70% of children under the age of 3 in India are iron deficient. Micronutrient deficiency, also called hidden hunger, has severe development and survival consequences. What you see all around me is the pearl millet crop. What's more, it's been biofortified with iron. It can go a really long way in combating widespread iron deficiency in India. Consider this. When made into a simple flat bread, this humble crop has the ability to meet 30% of the average daily iron needs of an adult woman. See for yourself.
After toiling in the fields, Rajendra Kamte returns home to enjoy a wholesome lunch of bhakri and vegetables. Bhakri, made from Dhanashakti flour, is the main source of iron for many farmers and their families living in the outskirts of Pune.
बुद्धिमत्ता सुद्धा वाढते बाजरीमुळं आणि उंची आमच्या छोकरीची माझ्यापेक्षा बारीक होता पण आता ते 2 वर्षात ते भरपूरच माझ्यापेक्षा उंच झालं.
Dhanashakti is an improved version of pearl millet variety developed by the global leader of biofortified crops, Harvest Plus. By collaborating with scientific institutes like ICRISAT in India, Harvest Plus aims to end hidden hunger caused by iron deficiencies.
Let's start at the very beginning. There is the CGIAR, which is the Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research. There is ICRISAT, which is the International Crop Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics. And there is Harvest Plus. How do the three come together?
Well, the CG is a group of agricultural institutes. ICRISAT is one of those institutes. And Harvest Plus is a program that's working in several of the institutes to develop these crops.
How did you come up with this global strategy to collaborate with local agricultural research institutions with nutrition as the focal point?
People eat our varieties, our crops 3 times a day, but we never paid attention to the nutrition content. So that's what Harvest Plus is doing. It's getting the breeders to put the minerals and the vitamins in the crops. And now when people eat them, they'll be eating more minerals and vitamins 3 times a day.
The crop of pearl millet is being conventionally bred by the seed breeders at ICRISAT, thus developing the enhanced version that not only yields more, but also contains more iron.
What is the process of biofortification for a non-scientific person, for a lay person?
Biofortification is that you put the micronutrients through plant breeding in the edible parts of the plants.
How does biofortification actually work? What do you do, where do you do it, and what is the impact?
What we do that for biofortification we identify the lines which have got a high iron, and we identify the lines which have got high grain yield and other good agronomic traits. So first we have to go and we have to do this, and then in the morning time when you come, when there is dew, you can see these things through the parchment paper bags as white feathery structure.
Okay.
That means that it is ready for crossing.
Okay.
So let us say that this is it and we recognize that it is ready for crossing. This is one line. From the high iron line we collect the pollen grain like this. This is also done in the morning. When the pollen is collected like that, you can see the yellow powdery material. We take that thing, consider that the pollen was collected, bulk pollen was collected actually, right, from that line, and then we come in the morning, we take this out and we dust that actually. We dust that. I am demonstrating, we dust that. Now you see what was whitish, now it is yellowish actually. That means that line now has been crossed with this line. Now then we grow it actually. When we grow it, a low iron high yielding line has been crossed with a high iron line. Now that seed, when it is sown and the crop is grown, when you take the grain from there, they should have high iron.
And they do have high
And
iron.
they do have high iron.
This collaborative project is aiming to tackle malnutrition through biofortification in a quest for zero hidden hunger, planting the seeds of change to better lives, one seed at a time.
This show, as you know, is called The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero. How can you relate the work that you're doing on biofortification, on reducing nutrient deficiencies with the concept of Shunya?
I would not say that biofortification alone will be able to achieve that goal, but biofortification can make a huge contribution towards achieving that goal. That is number one, at the national level, I am saying. But at the community level, small community level, or the individual level, an individual going to Shunya for micronutrient, biofortification can achieve that actually.
I think if we get wide adoption of our crops, we can really increase iron intakes and zinc intakes and go a long way toward reducing hidden hunger in India. Now, people's incomes, the ultimate solution is for people's incomes to go up so that they can afford high quality diet. But biofortification is something that can really help along the way to people achieving those kinds of diets.
On the other side of the break, we bring you a company aiming to fill gaps in our nutrition with the most important meal of the day, breakfast.
We all know that breakfast is an extremely important meal. A nutritious start sets the tone for the day and has big health payoffs as we set off for school, go about our work and the like. It's an established fact that regular breakfast eaters are more alert, they're less likely to become obese, and they're all round much healthier. Now, imagine a company that takes breakfast to the next level by blending traditional, healthy Indian food with a modern palate. It's time to introduce you to such a company.
It is quite a task to get 7-year-old Devika to eat traditional breakfast staples like dosas and idlis in the morning, often worrying her mother whether she's getting enough nutrition. And this concern is shared by many, as India ranks at the 55th position on the Global Hunger Index, with 18% of our population being undernourished. But thankfully, Devika has taken an instant liking to a breakfast cereal which packs quite the nutrient punch.
My mother and grandmother, they used to always, when we were children, they used to try and feed us this quite awful tasting ragi porridge. And when I became a mother, I in turn tried to feed my child the same thing and was met with a great deal of resistance. So it's nice to be able to pass on the goodness of ragi to my child and in a form that she likes and she enjoys.
Trying to fill in the nutritional gaps is Kotaram Agro's Soulful, a range of breakfast cereals and staples that harness the power of the wonder millet, ragi.
You've chosen to take ragi and make it into a breakfast cereal. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not traditionally a breakfast cereal. Talk us through the reinvention of ragi based on the benefits of ragi.
So ragi traditionally, and especially in the south, has always been something that the infants have used at one level, surely with the amount of calcium that's there. It's almost about 10 times that of any other grain that we usually consume. At the same time, it's also good for people who have diabetes, right? So a wonder grain in its own format, complex carbohydrates, dietary fiber, all of that stuff. But at the same time, there was a void that was out there in the marketplace in terms of bringing these grains into the breakfast cereal space. And breakfast cereal, because as we urbanize and as we grow, breakfast cereals is just a sheer convenience factor in this time and fast-paced kind of an environment that we are in.
What about the research and development that went into your Soulful breakfast products?
A lot of the science, a lot of the research that's really happened, not just in India, world over, has been on the three main commercial crops, which is rice, corn, and wheat. So there's a lot of research that we do in terms of how do we ensure that you keep this product shelf stable over time. How do you ensure that you are able to maintain nutrients? So when I look at R&D, we look at it in two forms. We look at it from a processing standpoint, and we also look at it in terms of, sheerly from a consumer aspect. We've developed uniquely with a vendor where we use natural extracts like rosemary, green tea to improve the shelf life of something as basic as ragi.
Kotaram's R&D is constantly working on ways to keep nutrients like calcium, iron and magnesium intact in their products. The ragi flakes have been combined with popular flavors like chocolate, strawberry and vanilla, and include pulses too, to give it an extra nutritional boost.
How does Soulful score over everything else that promises nutritional value?
There are two folds again here. One is nutrition balance, right? So when you look at again the nutrition chart, you shouldn't just look for low calorie. Don't just look for low sugar. Don't just look for low fat. The entire comprising thing, and that is where I talked about earlier about nutritional adequacy in a breakfast. It is not just about one or two of these elements, it's about the entire piece, and I think that's where we're really getting it right. So for example, if you compare us in terms of calcium, we're very high out there. There would be some brands which also have a par similar kind of a calcium, but they got that calcium from what? From a calcium carbonate, from other sources. Where did we get the calcium from? We got it from ragi. There are protein mixes that people use to add protein into the product or into the nutrition balance. Where do we get the protein from? From Bengal gram dal. So I think it's also one about what is the entire profile of the nutrition and also the source of the nutrition. I think that's where it becomes critical, and that's where we stand apart.
Prashant, if ragi has such high nutritional value, then why isn't it a top mainstream choice today? Because it's not.
There are two broad reasons, if you will. One is perception. I mean, ragi has always been a poor man's crop. These millets have always been a poor man's crop. Unfortunately, I mean, as we've evolved and as we've moved on in life, we always look at the modern world. We look at the Western world. We want to try and ape them. Unfortunately, what we have not seen is the Western world has actually moved the entire circle back. And they're actually looking at grains like quinoa, and they're looking at these grains. The second piece really is in terms of the products that are out there. Now, if you want something to become mainstream, you need to bring out mainstream products. You need to bring something that is really relevant for somebody. You can't just say, I have a great grain, now consume it. You need a good product, you need some thought that's happened, and I think that's what we've been really doing.
Expanding their food horizon, Soulful intends to stay true to its name by leaving zero room for nutrition gaps.
Food is definitely an essential part of nutritional deficiency. Yeah, there are other aspects like lifestyle, how we kind of go about our daily routines. But from a food perspective, definitely I think the amount of value add that our products and the likes based on other millets will definitely bring it in. Be it in terms of iron deficiency, be it in terms of calcium deficiencies, a lot of riboflavin, thiamine, all of these which are goodness and minerals that are there, not just in ragi, in the entire family of millets. There is an entire piece that will come in. I'm not again saying that avoid wheat completely, avoid rice, because they also have a series of goodness. The important part is to bring all of this together, and I think as a sum of the whole part is where we will be on this quest for zero nutritional deficiency.
To discuss the role of science and technology in our fight against hunger and malnutrition, we go back to Dr. M.S. Swaminathan for his views.
It comes back to science and technology. What, according to you, is the role for science and technology in addressing the problem of malnutrition in India?
Science and technology has to play three roles. One is to ensure clean drinking water everywhere. There is the Ganga pollution, all of them. And sanitation, new methods of sanitation which don't require too much water. Secondly, our scientists, agriculture scientists, must mainstream nutrition in their work. Agriculture and nutrition should combine together. Instead of thinking only 3 tons of wheat, 4 tons of wheat, I should say 4 tons of iron-rich wheat or iron-rich bajra and so on. So the mindset should go towards nutrition. Thirdly, I would say also there is need for more nutrition literacy.
The show is The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero. How do you think India can achieve zero malnutrition?
As I told you, the hunger has three dimensions: undernutrition, protein malnutrition, and hidden hunger. Protein hunger, hidden hunger. All the three have to be addressed if we want to have malnutrition free. And I believe zero hunger really means malnutrition. At least I interpret hunger, if you take all the three dimensions together.
Has India embraced this challenge of zero hunger?
I don't think so, unfortunately, although there are in words it is endorsed, but I don't see it in action. So much has to be done, and I feel sorry that great opportunities are being missed. I don't think our agriculture universities have still integrated nutrition in agriculture, although foreign agencies are supporting projects like leveraging agriculture for nutrition. The opportunities are not fully understood. Enormous opportunities, much more low cost, you don't have to spend additional money. But as I said, we must start from the panchayat. We have grassroots level democracy, education of those panchayat members. That's why we have the community hunger fighters. I feel that panchayats, elected panchayats with 50% women representation now is an underutilized resource for overcoming malnutrition, hunger, lack of water supply, and poor sanitation, and so on.
Professor M.S. Swaminathan, thank you very much for speaking to us on the Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero. Today we have seen two new ways to deliver nutrients, ideas that increase affordability, accessibility, and availability for all. That's it on this edition of DuPont Presents The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero, a show that celebrates science and innovation, technologies that could secure our future, human ingenuity that could reduce our challenges to zero. Till next week then, goodbye.